If you want to join me out on a limb, you'll need to remember Lord Acton's famous quote, "Power corrupts absolutely, and power pop is absolutely fabulous." Let's go shake some action. There's no silver bullet answer to the question, what is power pop? Let's just say it's the Beatles plus the Beach Boys plus the Byrds times the Who. Yep, power pop is simply melodic, guitar-driven music boiled down to its most basic, appealing parts. Crucially, the typically upbeat music is matched with yearning or melancholic lyrics. Power pop is powerful in all senses of the word, emotionally, romantically, lyrically, and melodically. All killer, no filler, that ideally clocks in at under 4 minutes. The genre really is a 70s invention. It was the outgrowth of young musicians who missed the 60s, taking its sound in new directions. Let's start by looking at two key bands from both sides of the Atlantic. Badfinger is among the first and best-loved power pop bands. The Welsh group were, for better and worse, widely seen as baby Beatles. That was natural, given their connections went well beyond stylistic. In the early years, Badfinger collaborated with both Paul McCartney and George Harrison, and their first albums were on the Beatles' own Apple Records. For power pop perfection, try Badfinger's 1971 single, Day After Day. Produced by George Harrison and featuring his stinging slide guitar, it was their biggest hit, reaching number 4 on the American Billboard Top 100. For the core US power pop sound, the best starting point is the Raspberries. The Cleveland band's 1972 single, Go All the Way, has all the classic genre hallmarks: contagious choruses, shame-free harmonizing, and an abundance of teen love and lust longing. It was a major smash, hitting number 5 on the Billboard charts. Go All the Way was such a breakthrough for the power pop genre, it opened the doors for hardly anyone. Despite the lack of commercial success, power pop continued to evolve through the rest of the 70s and 80s, sometimes absorbing elements of other trends like glam and pub rock, punk, new wave, college rock, and indie. During this period, acts as talented as Big Star, Pez Band, The Nerves, The Shoes, The Records, Marshall Crenshaw, and hundreds more toiled mostly in obscurity. The occasional hit single, Cheap Trick's I Want You to Want Me, off their 1979 live LP, and the Knack's My Sharona from the same year, were rare exceptions. The genre got a new lease on life in the 1990s, with great records by Matthew Sweet, Jellyfish, The Posies, Velvet Crush, Cotton Mather, Sugar, The New Pornographers, and many others. Every so often, again, a power pop hit broke through. For instance, Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne in 2003. But many of the best power pop numbers never made it even to the airwaves. The genre was never as credible as punk or as cool as new wave, and some of its finest practitioners were regional bands who, whether thanks to snobbery or geography, couldn't win over critics in London, New York, or Los Angeles. So let me try to rectify the oversight. I've selected a handful of fantastic, mostly overlooked songs by some of my favorite power pop bands. The Real Kids, All Kinds of Girls, 1977. Straight out of Boston's Rathskeller, aka The Rat, came the city's closest approximation to the Ramones. Swaggering attitude meets painful longing in this killer tune. The Shoes, Boys Don't Lie, 1977. Like Cheap Trick, Shoes also came from Illinois, and they had an idea of their own. Take bubblegum pop and bury it beneath layers of distortion and fuzz. It was the 1977 do-it-yourself pop minus the safety pins and nihilism of punk. Shoes recorded the album Black Vinyl Shoes in singer-guitarist Jeff Murphy's living room and pressed 1,000 copies on their own label. The Flash Cubes, Wait Till Next Week, 1978. Syracuse's own power pop powerhouse. During their initial lifespan of 1977 to 1980, the Cubes released only 2 singles, Christy Girl and Wait Till Next Week, on their own Northside Records label. They always seemed on the brink of bigger things, but while that never materialized, their reputation has only grown. The Jags, I've Got Your Number Written on the Back of My Hand, 1979. The Jags' debut single was described as, quote, simply one of the best records Elvis Costello didn't write, unquote, by one music critic. The British public agreed, pushing it up to number 17 on the UK singles chart. This is a wondrous one-hit wonder. Phil Seymour, Baby It's You, 1981. Oklahoma City native Seymour was a longtime collaborator of power pop icon Dwight Twilley and a good friend of Tom Petty. His solo album showcased his impeccable melodic sense and rock chops with Baby It's You. The album's first single, Precious to Me, actually made it to number 22 on the charts. The Reducers, Let's Go, 1984. I've got to salute New London, Connecticut's Reducers, one of my state's finest garage punk power pop outfits. Making them different from the average retro rock bar band was being hip, funny, and smart. Plus having 2 ace songwriters in Hugh Birdsall and Peter Detmold, who wrote melodic, wry, comically desperate songs. Check out these deadpan lyrics. Let's go to London, where the music's good. Let's go to Paris, where they've got a lot of nice food. The La's, There She Goes, 1988. Now this is how you make a classic power pop song. Insanely catchy melody with no verses, just a single chorus repeated 4 times and a bridge. Oasis's Noel Gallagher called it his favorite song of the 1990s. Considering it came out in '88, that's high praise indeed. Teenage Fan Club, Sparky's Dream, 1995. The Fan Club are arguably Scotland's finest power pop group, and Sparky's Dream simply embodies everything great about the genre. The song is a magical melding of drums, guitars, and harmonies into what is about as close a pure musical joy as possible. When I hear the opening line, "That summer feeling," I get goosebumps. Guided by Voices, Glad Girls, 2001. Is Glad Girls as catchy and upbeat a song as bandleader Robert Pollard has ever written? Could be, which is saying something considering the Dayton, Ohio band releases multiple LPs every year. This hooky, rollicking melody plays audible tribute to Pollard's great love for mid-70s rock, with guitars crunching as much as they chime, to superb effect. Sloan, Who Taught You to Live Like That, 2006. The Toronto, by way of Nova Scotia power pop legends, released this as the lead single from the band's 8th studio album, Never Hear the End of It. It made it to number 9 on Billboard's Canada Rock Chart. Oh, it was also used as the theme song to the TV series MVP, The Secret Lives of Hockey Wives. Can't get more Canadian than that. Nick Puente, One Hit Wonder, 2016. Nick is a longtime fixture on the Detroit music scene, having formed his first band back in the 6th grade. He fronted the well-regarded group The Respectables, who released a pair of albums in the early to mid-2000s. This tune, off the Trust Your Instincts album, is a wistful look back at his band's We Could Have Been a Contender history. Young Gov, Patterns Prevail, 2019. Ben Cook was a long-serving guitarist for Toronto's hardcore icons Fucked Up. In his Young Gov guys, he writes so many staggeringly poignant, infectious pop tunes, it's hard to pick a favorite. This track is a swirling delight, combining fuzzy production and warm melodies. Sounds like a cassette that was left to melt in the summer sunlight for a few hours. The Whiffs, Might As Well Be Well, 2023. Here's a killer cut from Scratch and Sniff, the latest and greatest Whiffs album. The boys from Kansas City, Missouri are still trading vocals back and forth and hammering out hyper-melodic guitar lines with an endless supply of sharp hooks. Live, the whiffs sound more self-assured and tighter than ever. The hardest part of this whole episode is leaving out so many great practitioners of power pop. Maybe we'll get to them sometime in the future. Meanwhile, thanks for joining me on the Out on a Limb series. Make sure to subscribe and click the alert button so you're ready to ride when the next bandwagon series leaves the station.